Hey everybody, it's Mark with the Bourbon Life. We're here at Bardstown Bourbon Company, hanging out with Dierks Bentley.
Yeah.
Dierks, thank you so much, man.
Thanks,
Great to meet you.
I appreciate you
Great to be
coming
here
down.
today.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you, you're a super successful music artist. You are a dad, a husband. You own several different bars that are very successful. What was it that made you say, hey, I think I want to start a bourbon brand?
Yeah, I got a lot going on, and I'm not somebody that really likes having a lot of stuff going on. I'm actually always trying to peel stuff back. I like it when my calendar's not totally full, but for some reason, it stays pretty busy. But with the bourbon, it's been a long time. But I only take things on that have interest for me. You know,
Sure.
I don't do whether it's a sponsorship on the road or a gig. It always has to make sense to be kind of. So it's ultimately it's fun, you know. And the reason I jumped into the bourbon thing is it's just fun. I'm a long-time consumer. And since I was about 17, started listening to Hank Jr. And drinking Jim Beam. And I've always been a consumer. And I started opening some bars called Whiskey Row back in 2012. And so it's been a dream to have my own brand in the bars, you know. It's just taken a while to find the right way to do it. And of course, being a dad and. You know, every time it just gets, a little breath of air, another kid comes, you get knocked right back up.
It's funny how that happens.
Yeah, it's like you're in a dunk tank and someone throws the ball and you're back in the cold water again. So I finally feel like there's a place where, the tour's at a really great spot where we get a chance to play these big amphitheaters every year and could take this on. So I started exploring different routes and possibilities and trying to find a way to do it the way that I want to do it.
Sure.
Which was to get something that was at least 4 years old and and something that was at a certain price point. So
Sure.
it took a while to get right. But.
Well, the cool thing you talk about Hank. I mean, when you think about whiskey, you think about. I mean, Jim Beam is obviously one of those whiskeys. Kid Rock has a reference about. He wasn't cool with James Dean, but he's cool with Jim Beam, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, Hank has, back in '73, Beam and his wife tried to kill him, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, was that kind of... That's right.
Yeah, I listen to so much Hank. I mean, I love Hank. And, there's a lot of songs with Jim and Jack, and, they're all in there. But, that's for me, being that, I first got turned on to country music. My dad always listened to country. I listened to a bunch of different stuff. I always liked country, but when I was 17, I heard Hank Jr. And this is country music? This is not what my dad listens to. And I got really into that, and he likes his whiskey, so it's good enough for Hank, good enough for me. So I drank a lot. I'd say I'm enjoying this because, for like a lot of people, I think your podcast started with 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
So that was a big year for me too. I mean, obviously COVID.
Right.
That was the first time in my life where whiskey went something that I was trying to get in my system as quickly as possible to get to my liver to feel a certain way. The first time I was like, well, what are we drinking here? What am I putting in my body? Let's talk about it. Let's think about it. And I started, getting into it like a lot of people did. A lot of people really started and listening to podcasts and reading books and just digging into this American invention that I always just consumed it and never really thought much about it. So that was, that was kind of a turning point for me from being just someone to just kind of drank whatever's lying around to kind of get more curious about it.
Sure. So, I mean, the big thing about, music, obviously as a musician, very successful, you got a great team of musicians, a great guy from Eastern Kentucky as well.
Yeah, Tim Sturgis is in my band, and got a guy from Southern Kentucky in my band, Ben Helson,
Yeah. Well, I'm from like a little town next to where Tim's from. I'm from Flatwoods.
Okay, yeah, you know Tim?
Achy Breaky Billy. I don't know Tim. Okay, but I know who he is.
Oh, yeah, Bill. He's by Billy Ray Cyrus. Yeah, he goes way back.
Yeah. So
I text Billy Ray all the time.
Oh, do you really?
Huge Billy. Yeah, we still text all the time. It's great.
That's great. Yeah, same high school, but he was a few years older.
Oh, yeah.
Can I say that he's older than me? Right?
Yeah.
But having a great team is part of it.
Everything.
You hooked up with Green River for this. So how did that come about?
Well, it's just like a band, Porter Wagner, who's a great Opry member, was a great Opry member. He always said, to be a great front man of a band, you need to surround yourself with musicians that are better than you. And I'm taking that to heart. My band is, I can hold their guitar cases. We're all some great musicians. Like I said, 2 guys from Kentucky in the band. So same in this business too, just surround yourself with people that know what they're doing. I'm not here to, I don't like to go try to mix and match a bourbon. I'm here to listen and learn, and Green River's been a great. I knew when I got to Green River. First I went to Bardstown. Loved the people of Bardstown.
Great guys.
The facility's amazing.
Yes,
obviously very modern and very cool. Wow. But then I got to Green River, I was like, wow, this feels like me. If you look at the face of my guitar, it is all scratched and dented. It's got a hole in it from my pinky going back and forth across this one spot in the wood has worn a hole through the wood. It's like, And I love my truck. I got a 94 Chevy. It's beat to hell. I just like stuff that's old, and if it's new and shiny, it's not for me. I like stuff that's like has a story.
And that's Green River.
And you go to you get there, wow, this place just feels so. It reminds me of the Station Inn in Tennessee. You know, this bluegrass bar. It's just it has this like feeling to it. And on top of this, the people that make anything great. So, just great people there. I connected with right away. Just good country people, and of course, and then their own product, Green River. Yeah, that's really what I based my exceptional. I based my bourbon off theirs. It's like I don't want to go read it. I don't know enough about it to go start creating my own. I knew I wanted to be Kentucky straight because the Jim Beam bottle clearly says Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey.
That's right.
I've looked at that white label so many times in my life. So whatever that is, that's what it needs to be. That that's when I was 17. So I knew they'd be at least 2 years old. That's how you get that label on there. But me. 4 years is kind of the minimum where you have to label it being under 4 years old. It's a nice. That's a lot of the distillers will tell you between 4 and 7 years is when you get some of your best taste. Obviously there's older stuff that hits even more crazy, but 4 to 7 is a good number, good spot to be in. So I like what they had, and so I based it off that and gave it a little more proof. Gave mine's 94 proof compared to their 90.
Sure.
94 is the year I moved to Nashville.
I was going to say, that's 94, row 94, that's a significant name and number, right?
Yeah, these things, look at them.
We should hold the bottle.
It's all such a bunch of crap, right? I mean, you read these things, read these back of the label, it's like, I always say it's like Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Write me something about the limestone and the grains and the fields of, the heartland of America.
Yes.
It's all this crap, right? But I think when you're making whiskey, it's like making an album, right? Like when I make a record, I make it for me, what's interested in me at that time. What is it going to be a bluegrass record? Is it going to be a country record? And I write most of the songs. I have musicians I want to have play on it, put a lot of time into it. I put a lot of time into the physical look of the CD and the leaflet, the font. And if it sells albums, great. If it doesn't sell albums, that's fine too, because at least I know I put my heart and soul into it and I love what I created. It's the same with this. It's like, this has meaning for me that might not mean anything for the consumer. But
it's important.
So the 94 is the year I moved to Nashville. It's also the proof of the juice, most importantly. Right. It's also the year I discovered bluegrass music.
Yeah.
And Owensboro happens to be the home of the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame. Nice synergy there for me. I don't know how much music matters to folks out there, but for me,
it better matter to you.
I'm creating something that's ultimately for me. Like making a record, I'm making the music for myself. And I know that can sound selfish, but if you're trying to make music for an audience, like you're trying to, maybe this will work. Then they don't want that. They want something. The reason why my kids love Taylor Swift so much, why I'm actually wearing a Taylor Swift bracelet.
Yes, there you go.
I had to go to my daughter's 16th birthday. I took her to a show. But it's because Taylor makes records that are personal to her, and then the kids latch onto it. That's how music works, and that's how I think why people are so obsessed with bourbon, especially what you've seen in the last decade, and it's because the story behind it. They want something that's good. They go discover. So that's what it means to me. The Thunderbird is my dad, who passed away about 12 years ago. He was a member of a men's group out in Arizona called the Thunderbirds, who do great charity work in the Valley. So that's where that image came from. And it's on a few of my album covers as well. But I just love the way it turned out. The 3 ingredients of the truth. That's I
was going to ask you, Harlan Howard.
Yeah, the great songwriter in Nashville.
He was actually married to a cousin of mine. He was like her. Or she was, I think, his 3rd or 4th wife. Yeah. For a brief period. I met him once at a family reunion when I was like 10 years old.
Yeah, you're not a true country singer until you've had at least one wife. And you get into your second one, now you're a true country singer. I guess it means I'm not one, but...
but Harlan Howard. Howard. 3 chords in the truth.
And people say, what's country music? It's just 3 chords in the truth.
Right.
And so that's really what all great bourbon is, but we love that tagline, and so it's been fun. I mean, just meeting new people. I've been doing country music for a long time, and every night when I walk on stage, it still feels so exciting. I've somehow been able to keep that sense of joy and wonder when I walk out there. It's like, wow. But I have been doing it for a long time, so to do something different, meet new people, all these folks that roll through today, this has been great.
This has been a great event. Yeah.
I mean, especially, country being divided, you hear all stuff in the news. Just getting to meet people.
Honestly, it does.
I think everyone dealing with sort of post-election stuff needs to just come hang out here in Kentucky and have bourbon and meet great Americans, because these are just great people. And it's just so I've had a lot of fun doing this, and looking forward to I got go around Arizona and Colorado and Florida as well.
Yeah.
Tennessee. So just go
That's
out there and
where
meet
your
people.
distribution's out there in those states, right? Yeah, that's great. So I have to ask this question. Was there ever a point where on this journey you said, what was I thinking?
Oh, yeah. Well, when I started looking at doing this without the support of Bardstown, without the support of Green River, I thought, what am I thinking? There's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you got to buy these barrels,
Sure.
put them in the ground, let them age for 4 years. You got to buy the 3-year, the 2 year. He's constant leapfrogging at buying barrels, whiskey, and then if it doesn't work out, you're stuck with a bunch of barrels. I mean, it can be expensive quick. And I put a lot of my own money into this. This isn't like just, hey, look at me. It's like, this is my passion project, but getting to team up with those guys is what has allowed me to get this out the door for under $40.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, that's honestly, I was going to comment on that the fact that this is a 4-year-old whiskey that is under $40, because in this day and age, the joke with our podcast, it's a bad joke, but that 100's the new 50, because everybody has, I mean, everything coming out is $80, $90, $100. So when I found out that this was $40, I was like, that's
what makes it good?
That's significant.
You walk in, you drink Bullet, right?
Yeah.
I think it's great. And that's, I think that's MGP. I'm not sure. I think it comes from Indiana, but I'm more of a Kentucky guy. But it's great whiskey, right? It's like $25.
I know.
So it's like that should be a clue to people doing this. Like, hey, I got to. I'm talking to folks at Walmart and I just, those fans, I just can't imagine them buying some for $80. It'd make me feel bad. Be like, hey, come buy my $80 bottle of bourbon. Like, I just can't do that to them. I'm like, I'm a Busch Light beer drinker. Like, I know I don't want to I just don't want to do that to them.
Yeah.
Say in my concerts, I try to keep the prices as low as I possibly can. And with this too, like we all know too much. We all know that you can make great whiskey for under $40. So I want to pass that along to them.
So last question or last point. I mean, you're a big bluegrass guy. Yeah. Obviously, right?
Yeah.
Which is from Kentucky, right? I'm a native Kentuckian, so I got to support that. You're a bourbon guy now.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Bourbon Life, as a matter of fact.
Check it out, folks.
When can we expect you just to come and just be in Kentucky full time?
I do love it. When I drive around Owensboro, Nashville's gotten so big.
Yeah.
And last time I was in Owensboro, I was definitely on Zillow. I'm like, man, it's just good, clean country living up here.
It's different, right? I'm going to Nashville day after tomorrow. It's
a big city.
It's crazy how
big city Nashville.
Changed,
I won't be there forever. Once my kids move out, I got Arizona, Colorado. But I do love Kentucky, and just good people up here.
Yeah,
beautiful topography, and of course the story and the whiskey trade.
It's just so bourbon, right?
I mean, you've been to people go do the wine stuff. It's so much. This is just so much more in my and great people out there in California. Those farmers, they're great country people, but the whole story of the bourbon is just so much more interesting to me. It's Kentucky and the dirt, the history, the people. You can see why it's so popular, because
it's America's native spirit, right?
It sure is. Yeah, look at the other stuff. So vodka and tequila just doesn't have the. It's just not. It's not American in a lot of ways. This is like a lot of similarities with country music, as far as like be able to like dig into the past and discover the roots of the music. And you like Hank Jr. or Hank Jr. like Waylon Jennings. Well, Waylon Jennings is. He liked Ray Price. You can keep going further back.
Sure.
And the same with this stuff. Maybe I get you in the door and you try my stuff, and that leads you somewhere else down the road, and
which is great.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Dierks, dude, thank you, man. Honored to be on the show.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week on the Bourbon Life.